So with this session, what we'll do is we'll talk through a little bit about how we think about security at Google and in G Suite. And then we will show you some of the products that we have that can remove some of that work that you're having to do. And then we will spend some time in demos. We'll spend quite a bit of time in demos because we think it's helpful to see how these things work. And then we'll finish up by having one of our partners, Sumo Logic, talk about their experience in integrating through our APIs and kind of how they are helping you automate what you're doing as well. So with that, security is increasingly difficult. There are more and more attacks, and those attacks are more and more sophisticated. So as administrators and security staff, it is something that is increasingly difficult to protect your users' devices and data. So at G Suite, what we try to do is we try to think through how we can provide you the tools that you need to really cover the different threats that are coming at you and ensure that you are best protected against those. We've had the chance to have a lot of conversations with our customers, partners, and analysts. And what we see is kind of reoccurring themes. There's a lot of security tools out there that give you a lot of data, but at the same time, they fail to provide really actionable, valuable insights. Those that do provide good insights many times lack the controls and tools that you need to go in and remediate those things and fix them quickly. And the solutions that do manage to provide both of those to you are many times very complex. They require specific expertise that are very hard to find, or a lot of training that takes a lot of time and energy and money. So what we see is we see a lot of organizations that have security tools that are partially implemented, and they're planning on continuing to implement those and finish them, or they finished the implementation, but they're just not sure how to effectively leverage those tools. So kind of the guiding principle that we are using at G Suite is how can we provide you a comprehensive set of tools that is at the same time simple and easy to use. And so we want to cover all of your needs and all of the various threats that are coming at you, but at the same time, we want you to be able to pick up those tools and start using them and start finding value. And so over the last year, you've seen a lot of launches coming in security, and these are just a few of those. Things like automatic enrollment in Google management, so Google device management. So when a user comes in with a BYOD and they sign in with their corporate credentials, it's automatically enrolled for light management. And that allows you to see what data those devices are accessing and exactly what those devices are doing, and also allows you to wipe corporate data from those devices. Security health and the security dashboards, which give you a high-level overview of important security metrics from your organization. The investigation tool, which allows you to dive in quickly, get deep in the data, and take remediative steps. The alert center, where we communicate the most important things to you that you should look into and proactively let you know about things that are happening. And then, of course, Gmail. And Gmail, we know, is a huge vector of attack. Email in general, I should say. So we are constantly investing in Gmail to ensure that it is very secure and covering all of your needs and making sure that your users are protected. We've launched things like Security Sandbox, Confidential Mode, and business email compromise protections. And so we're consistently adding more and more tools for you there so that Gmail is the best possible solution for you. However, as we continue to talk to our customers, one thing we consistently hear, and I'm sure you guys have heard this as well, is that there's always too much to do. There's always that one product or that one vector of attack that you're trying to get to that you just can't because you have too much going on in other areas. We have yet to talk to a security team that told us that they have too much time on their hands or they're too fully staffed. We haven't seen that yet. If you do have that situation, we'd love to talk to you about how you got there. But with this, what we're trying to do is is find ways that we can help you automate security and remove some of the redundant tasks that you're doing now that aren't really adding value or aren't requiring all of the expertise that you have, so that you can invest that time and expertise into other areas that will add more value to your organization. And so with that, what we want to do is we want to talk through just a couple of products that are currently there that are kind of removing work from you. And then we want to walk through a few new products or enhancements to existing products that will help you better automate your workflows. And then we'll jump into some demos to show you how all these things fit together. So earlier I mentioned Gmail. Now, I really like this image because I think it walks you through kind of step by step what protections are in place. And whether you're talking about before an email is even sent, or when a user receives it and opens it and clicks on a link, or even grants a third-party OAuth token, you have protections built in to help you better protect each of those steps and remove some of that kind of manual work that you'd have to go in and investigate and remediate these things. So Gmail is an area where you'll continue to see new innovations, and even this image doesn't include everything because it doesn't have security sandbox, confidential mode, or business email compromise on there. So there's even more, and honestly, if we put everything that Gmail's doing on a slide, it would be much more than one slide. The second thing I want to hit on again is the Google device management and the automatic enrollment. And this is something that has had a really positive impact for a lot of the organizations that we work with. It gives them logging and visibility into what is happening, and all of those logs are integrated into many of our other security products like the Security Center. And so on top of having visibility of what these devices are doing, you also have the option to wipe that data, so you don't have to go in and manage those devices as much in the case of BYOD devices. And then hijacking prevention is another area I want to call out, and specifically security keys are a very, very effective way to protect your users. And if you can prevent the hijackings, it saves you a ton of work that you have to do later in cleaning them up and potential damage or loss of company data. So we don't know of a single user that has been compromised when they were using security keys. They're that effective, and we recommend that every user has them, or at least privileged users are using them. On top of the security keys, though, we're consistently investing in models to detect anomalous behavior from users, so that we can find those and we can alert you about them. And so a lot of the alerts that you may have been seeing in the Alert Center are actually generated automatically by identifying anomalous behavior that users are doing. So with that, I now want to talk about kind of some of the newer betas and launches that we have coming out to help you automate your workflows. The first is work we've been doing around data loss prevention, or DLP. And what we've been doing is working to unify the experience of creating a Gmail or Drive rule so that you can create one single rule to automate the protection of both of those products. In addition, we'll talk through some of the other things we've been doing around visibility to help you better understand when those rules are triggering and what they're doing. The second is the investigation tool, and we'll hit on the new activity rules, which allow you to build rules to automate actions or alerts based on specific events that are happening. And then the third is the Alert Center, and we'll talk about how we are making updates and continuing to improve that product so that you can see the most relevant alerts first. So we just want to hit high level on each of these, and then we'll show you kind of how they fit together and how they work in the demo flows. And so first, data loss prevention. If you're not familiar with the product, basically what it is it's the ability to create rules in Gmail and Drive to detect certain patterns, whether that's strings or regex or using one of the predefined detectors to block exfiltration before it happens, or also to detect malicious information before it comes into your organization. One of the really cool things about data loss prevention is it's built right into the product, so it stops things before they happen. So it's not something that happens and then DLP goes and cleans it up. It actually prevents documents from being shared in the first place. We'll show you a little bit more about what that looks like. But for the updates for DLP, what we've done is we've unified the experience of creating these rules, but then also we've really invested in logging and visibility around what these rules are doing. We've gotten a lot of feedback that it would make DLP much more effective when you can see exactly when it triggers and make sure that they are tailored to the exact data you're trying to detect and prevent from being shared. And so we'll walk you through how we've integrated those logs and that visibility into the Security Center and how you can use that to look at other data and kind of figure out what's happening with your sensitive content. The second area is the Security Center, and so there's three major components to the Security Center. The first is Security Help, which keeps you up to date on the newest tools and settings that are available to you to best protect your organization. And so this is really meant to help you be proactive and to prevent issues before they even happen. The second is the security dashboards, which give you that high-level overview of important metrics in your organization. These also give you actionable content that you can find issues and then jump quickly into the investigation tool to act. So they're meant to help you detect issues. And then the investigation tool, which allows you to do really advanced queries to correlate data across different types, and then to take large bulk actions. And this tool is really powerful because it scales from whether you want to delete one email from a user's inbox or whether you want to delete 1 million. So it scales really well to the size of your organization. So with the Security Center, one of the things we're really excited about, and we've been doing a lot of work on the Security Center in general, but this session will mainly focus on the new activity rules. And again, these allow you to, based on any log query you do in the investigation tool, create automated actions and alerts to let you know when those things happen. And so we'll show you how powerful those can be in remediating issues you've seen in the past, and they work great as a companion to data loss prevention rules. So with that, I want to welcome my colleague Darshan on the stage, who will talk a little bit more about the Alert Center and some of the changes we've been doing there.
Great. Thank you, Chad. My name is Darshan Patel, and I'm one of the product managers within G Suite that works on Alert Center. And first of all, I'm super excited to be here to tell you about the new beta features that we're launching in the Alert Center that has launched as of this morning. But first, a little bit of a summary about the Alert Center. The Alert Center launched about 6 months ago, and it's available for all G Suite licenses. So that includes Basic, Business, and Enterprise. And it really provides 3 key capabilities. It provides a single pane of glass of all your essential security notifications. So this makes it easier for you to save time with everything in one place. It also gives you a view of your overall security exposure to help you prioritize your team's workload, as well as making it easy and faster to do remediation with integration into other tools. The Alert Center has several different types of alerts across 3 primary categories. The first category is phishing and malware. As Chad talked about, that is one of the most common threats that we see, and his slide earlier showed about 91% of cybersecurity starts in email. So this is an area that we continuously invest in. So we show that 99.9% of spam and phishing emails get stopped before they make it to the user, but users' attacks keep changing over time, and we keep learning. As we learn, we go back and see if any of the messages inside your users' inboxes have been affected and match new patterns we've learned about. And this is what we call reclassification. When this occurs, we will automatically move emails from your users' inboxes and put them into the spam account for you. And if your users had already engaged with those messages, you will get a notification in the Alert Center to let you know that there's something that you should go investigate, and then you can move it or delete it for your user. The second category is account warnings. And this is where we're using machine learning models to detect suspicious behavior that might be occurring in an account. And this is looking for compromised accounts that might have been occurred during login or even during in-app activity. And the third area is device management that Chad also touched upon. And here we're automatically looking at suspicious device behavior. So if a device has been rooted or it's jailbroken or device properties have changed on that device. And one of the key goals of the Alert Center for us is to help you protect your users, your devices, and your data. Now, listening to our customers is one of the most important things we do, and it helps us make a good product even better. We talked to about 100 or several hundred customers where we received feedback through surveys, interviews, and our alpha program. And I'd like to thank all those alpha customers, several are here today, for their participation in giving us feedback across the whole G Suite family of security products. One of the common themes that we heard was the need for collaboration. And this was to make it easier for teams to prioritize their workloads. So with today's beta release, we focused on these areas. The first one is being able to help you prioritize automatically by giving each alert type a different severity setting. So Google has gone ahead and mapped the severity to each of the alerts, but you, as your admin, you can change those to fit your business needs. The second is the ability to track status. So you can now see if alerts are new, in progress, or closed. And the third is to manage workloads by assigning alerts to different team members. So this enables faster prioritization and more efficient collaboration. So now let's take a look at a demo. So let me quickly log in. And the first demo I'm going to show you is how easy it is to roll into mobile device management for your users. There we go. All right, so let me go to mobile device management. So I'm going to click on the menu on the upper left-hand corner, hit devices, and go to mobile devices. And on my, let me log into my admin account. And on my device, I'm going ahead and just logging into my corporate email account. So I just need to do a couple clicks here. So just like any user, I'm going to log in. And here I just need to agree to the terms of service. And it's going to check against the device policies that you've set up as an admin. And I just need to agree to enroll. So let me do that. And now here in the admin console, you will see that there are about 10 devices. And this is all live. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. And let's see if we see the new device enrolled. So perfect. We see good Darshan's Pixel 2 XL that has just enrolled. And now you have the ability to manage this device, and this device is following the policies that you have already set. If you wanted, you can click on the three-dot menu on the end, and you can see some of the features like wipe the device or delete the device available. So that is showing you just how easy it is for users to automatically enroll and be protected on the device front. Next, we're going to go into the Alert Center. So I'm going to click on that same menu and go to Security and Alert Center. And here you can see there's several alerts that the admins can see. And we're going to pick the one that's device compromise. So let me open that one up. And now in this journey, we're going to go through and see how easy it is to triage messages and prioritize them. So we can see that this Android device was rooted, and it belongs to Darshan at Dynamic 70. That happens to be the device I had just enrolled. And there's different device properties there. And as we scroll down, we can see this new section called Related Alerts. So this is one of the new beta features that we just launched this week. And what we're doing here is we're looking for other alerts within the Alert Center that might have to do with this incident to help you triage it better. So the first one here is phishing message detected post delivery. So this looks pretty interesting. This is one of the examples we had talked about earlier. So let me click on that. And I can see Google has detected one reclassified message from Darshan at mybigarname. So that looks pretty suspicious. So let's go back to the other message. Now we know that we have a story coming together. Looking at the next related alert, I can see that is leaked password. So this is another detection we do automatically on your behalf. We are looking at public sites where your users' credentials have been leaked. And when we find those situations, we automatically notify you through the Alert Center so you can work with your users to remedy that situation. Another alert is government-backed attacks. So again, we are automatically detecting if there might be a state-sponsored initiative that is trying to compromise your users. So it looks like there's a lot of serious items going on here. So let me scroll back up to the top and prioritize and assign this alert. So I'm going to change the severity to high because there's a lot going on here. I'm going to change the status to in progress and assign it to my colleague Chad. And it automatically pre-fills, and let me apply that. So again, just within a few minutes, we were able to show how easy it is to triage and prioritize an alert. Next, let's go back to the Alert Center screen. And we're going to pretend that now I'm Chad, just a little shorter, and go back in here. And I see that there's an alert assigned to me. We would have also sent an email to Chad saying that Darshan the admin had sent or assigned him an alert. So I'm going to open this up. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner, all these fields are there. Again, these are all part of the new beta. And if I scroll to the bottom in the alert history area, you can see a change log of everything that has happened with this account. So teams can collaborate better and know what has happened. So let me go back up to the top, and this is where we have the integrated remediation. So as an admin, I could go one of a couple of different ways. One, I might try to figure out how this happened, and we did have some leads there through the phishing and leaked password alerts. And the other one might be to see, are there any other things that might have happened, such as data exfiltration, maybe sharing of Drive documents. So let's go and click on the Investigate Alert. And this is part of the seamless integration. And now I'm going to open up the investigation tool. And in the investigation tool, it is pre-filling the characteristics from the alert into the query builder, so you don't have to do any of that. And if I scroll to the bottom, you can see there's that result for the compromised device. Now I'm going to pivot to see if there might have been any data exfiltration that occurred in Drive. So by the device owner, I'm going to click on the three-dot menu, and you'll see a whole list of items. Let me scroll down a little bit. Of different ways you can pivot on this information. And I'm going to select Drive Logs Actor. And this is to look where Darshan at Dynamic 70 had done Drive log events, or used Drive. And I'm going to add a condition here to see if the visibility has been changed. And in particular, we're looking to see if the visibility change, let me pick that condition, has changed externally. So we're going to look to see if anything went from internal to external. And I'll scroll down and click on Search. It usually just takes a few seconds. All right, and as I scroll down, we will see that there's 6 documents that have changed in Darshan's account that have gone from internal to external. And looking at the titles, they look pretty sensitive. We see org charts for a secret project, M&A activity, PRDs, sales projections. So let's go ahead and click on the checkbox to select all of them and look at what actions we can perform. So here we can change the owners, remove users, disable, download, copy, print, as well as go a little deeper with file audit or file permissions. So let's go ahead and click on that. And now it's going to open up a new window where you can see more details on exactly who documents have been shared with. In this case, we can see the Project Zero org chart has been shared mainly with internal employees at Dynamics 70, but we also see there is one external person of bad Darshan at my big R name. And this one, if you may recall, happened to be the same related alert that was responsible for the phishing email. So let me go ahead and revoke privileges by clicking on the menu, and I can remove access for bad Darshan. But we also want to look at all the documents. So let me click on the left side to select all the documents, and I can click on Actions, and I can go ahead and select which users I want to remove, and I am going to remove Darshan at my.bigr.name. And now he has been removed from access for all of these files. While we're on the screen, we should also go and check to see if any documents might have been shared publicly. So I'm clicking on links up at the top, and I can see 3 of the documents have been made public. So let's go ahead and click on the title, select all of those, and edit the link sharing. And let's make these all restricted. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that. All right, so just within a few minutes, we were able to go through 3 common security use cases where we can show how we help automate and simplify the experience. The first one was automatic enrollment into mobile device management. The second one was automatically looking for incidents and suspicious behaviors that are occurring for your users. This case was device being compromised. We also saw a leaked password and a post-delivery phishing reclassification, as well as how easy it is to triage, investigate, and remediate a situation. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Chad to continue on with the demo. Thank you. All right.
So really quick, let me set this up here. Okay, so Darshan walked us through how you can use the Alert Center to better understand the threats that are coming into our organization, and then how you can quickly use those to remediate any issues. I want to talk a little bit about how we can use policy to prevent issues from happening, and then also after we've done an investigation similar to what Darshan showed you, how we can set a activity rule to prevent that type of thing from happening again, or at least automate alerts around those. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the new data loss prevention experience. And so if you come to the left-hand menu and you go to security and you look under data protection, this is kind of the beta experience. So if you sign up for the beta for DLP, this is what you'd see. So here we can click on manage rules, and we have a list of rules we've created. And in this specific scenario, we have a rule we created around Project Utopia, which is a sensitive project that this company, this organization, is working on. And so what they've done is they've gone through and they've created a policy for the entire organization when a file is shared, or we could do also when an email is sent. If it contains Utopia, we want to block external sharing. And so we've created this rule. And now, if we go to Drive, we can find a file related to Utopia here. And we'll go ahead and... so if we open something related to Utopia, what we see as an end user is it actually changes the way that the sharing icon looks. So it shows a shield showing that this document is actually sensitive. It should not be shared externally. If the user hovers over the sharing icon, it also informs them of that. And this is really important because it is educating the end users. It's helping them understand what types of content are sensitive and what they should be thinking about when they're looking at documents like this. If they do decide to go ahead and continue and try to share this document, when they go to share it to anyone on the web, what will happen is they'll actually receive an error, which will tell them that this is sensitive, they cannot share it externally. Beyond just educating the end user, though, we know that it's really important for admins to have visibility into how their policies are interacting with content and exactly what's happening. So one of the other things that you'll see in the beta experience for DLP is you'll see this investigate rule option. And this is similar to what Darshan was showing you in the Alert Center. But when you click on this, what happens is it takes you into the investigation tool. And it queries for that specific rule, which will show you all of the logs associated with it for when that rule has triggered. So we can see that specifically this rule has triggered on quite a few different documents related to Utopia. So the roadmap, the financials, the competitive analysis, and it looks like it's all been done by this Chad Tyler user. So there might be something going on with this user. We can dig in deeper and actually figure out what's happening. So we can dig in and remediate this specific issue. So we'll pivot on this user, and we'll look at Gmail log events where this user received the email. And we'll say specifically we want to see emails that are not from our current organization. So we'll copy that. And also, we want to filter out emails that are from Google, in that we don't want to see the alerts that are coming in. And then when we query for that, what this will show us is the external emails that this user received. So we want to see potentially how this user was compromised by a phishing email. So we see several different emails that came in. Specifically, we can look at the log events for what happened. It looks like this user only opened and clicked on one email. So you can see here the updated terms of service. They received it, they opened it, and then they clicked on a link. And it looks like it went to a malicious site. So we know that this might be potentially how they were compromised. Now what we can do here is we can actually pivot on this message ID, and we can see everyone in our organization who received this. And so we'll look for everyone in our organization who received this specific email to make sure that no one else was compromised. And so we can see here quite a few of our users received it, but this user was the only one that opened it and the only one that clicked on the link. Just to make sure that there's no more issues with this email, we can come and we can delete these messages to make sure that none of our other users click on this. So we'll type that in and we can click delete. So now what we can do is we can actually, we've come in, we've created the DLP rule, we've looked at kind of where that's triggered, and then we've gone to better understand like how that user was compromised in the first place. But it looks like this domain inc42.com is targeting our users. So we might want to actually prevent this from happening again in the future. And so what I want to show you now is how you can use activity rules, the new activity rules that we've added to the investigation tool, to create policies based on the attributes of logs that you're receiving. So we'll create a new query, and we'll say Gmail log events. If it's from and it contains Inc42, we want to block it. And so we'll say specifically when we receive emails from Inc42. And then what we can do right within the investigation tool is we can come to this three-dot menu, and we can go to create rule. And that takes us to a pretty similar experience to what you saw for data loss prevention or DLP. And we can say block bad domain. And then this pulls in the query that we were using in the investigation tool itself. And then when we go to the next step, this will generate a preview for us for how often emails from Inc42 have come into our organization. So you can kind of see the history of when that's happened. And then we can say if within an hour. It happens even 0 times, or if we want to set a specific threshold, we can say more than 100 or more than 1,000. So this works really well for things like document exfiltration if you want to see if more than a certain amount of documents are shared outside of your organization. This is a really flexible tool that you can use. Then we can set an action and say if we receive an email from Inc42, I want to send it to quarantine, or I want to delete it, whatever makes sense. And then we also want to receive an alert, and I want to send that alert to the admin. And so just that quickly, we can create a new rule, which will then perform that action whenever our threshold is triggered, and it will also send us an alert, and you'll receive that alert in the same alert center that Darshan was walking you through before. And so that's a quick view of how you can use data loss prevention to prevent things from before they even happen, how you can use the logs associated with those to dig in, detect and remediate issues, and then how you can go back to prevention. You can use the activity rules within the investigation tool to use the same queries you were using to prevent this from happening again, and kind of follow that loop of continuing to tailor your organization so that you have less of these things happening, and you can prevent them from happening in the first place. So with that, we want to jump back to the slides really quick. And I want to hit on APIs. So APIs are obviously a really important part of automating security. And so all of the data that we just showed you is available through these 3 different APIs. And so the product APIs themselves, you use the Gmail, Drive, device management APIs, and you can get the state information that we were showing you. The reports APIs is where all of the logs are available. And then the Alert Center API allows you to pull all of the alerts into other tools if you're using other tools to manage your alerts and to coordinate your remediation. And so we know that the APIs are a very important part of this story. One of the things that we wanted to do is show you how one of our partners was able to leverage these APIs to build a product that allows you to get better visibility and automate remediation as well. And we also know that it's very important to be able to extend this to your broader ecosystem, which is why we wanted to bring Rishi from Sumo Logic to talk a little bit more about their experience in building out a product based on these APIs. Rishi.
Thank you, Chad. So my name is Rishi Dev. I'm the product manager for apps and integrations at Sumo Logic. And I want to thank Google for giving us this opportunity to partner with them and allowing us to showcase our integration with G Suite and Alert Center. So a little bit about Sumo Logic. We are a cloud-native machine data analytics service, and we support over 2,000 customers across various industry verticals. Some of our key customers are Airbnb, Major League Baseball, New York Life, Visa, and Salesforce.com. So Sumo Logic helps in 3 major areas. The first being operational analytics, where we help you monitor, alert, and troubleshoot your application issues or performance. The second area is business analytics, where we help you understand how customers are using your applications. And finally, security analytics, which is the focus of today's presentation, where we help you monitor, detect, investigate, and respond to security alerts and threats. So Sumo Logic provides these capabilities in one platform. So you get the data in once, and you get operational, business, and security insights. So how does this work? So we collect, index, and store machine data, which includes events, logs, and metrics from a number of on-premise, SaaS, and cloud platform data sources. Once this data is in, you can query it with our rich query language, dashboards, or use out-of-the-box applications. So one of these apps is the Sumo Logic G Suite app. We have over 100 customers using this app across the globe, and it's focused on 3 major use cases. The first being G Suite usage, and then administrative activity, and security monitoring. So over the past few months, we've been working with the Alert Center team towards collecting and analyzing Alert Center data. So combining Alert Center data with G Suite activity logs that we are already collecting and data from other applications and security data sources, we see Sumo Logic and Google providing 3 key benefits. The first being the ability to monitor and detect critical security threats by combining alerts from Alert Center with alerts from other security data sources. Secondly, investigating and correlating alerts with G Suite activity and other applications. This is so you can determine the root cause and effects of your alerts. And finally, responding and remediating alerts when they occur again. So to summarize how this works, we collect data from G Suite via the Reports API and from Alert Center via the Alert Center API. So these are the APIs that Chad just talked about. And I just wanted to commend the G Suite team for making this critical data available. And as we'll see going forward, this helps our customers quickly investigate and respond to alerts in their IT infrastructure. So once this data comes in, we have rich out-of-the-box dashboards that analyze both G Suite activity and data from Alert Center. So let's take a look at an example of how Sumo Logic can help monitor, detect, and investigate threats. So this is our G Suite overview dashboard that shows a summary of all the activity that's happening in G Suite, and we have drill downs specific to Alert Center. This shows our Alert Center overview dashboard that shows all the data that we've gotten from Alert Center so far. So here we see an example of a user's credentials being compromised. And I just wanted to point out the level of detail that's coming in from Alert Center, where you have the username, the time this compromise happened, and the alert type. And this is something that you definitely want to go ahead and investigate. So this brings us to the Alert Center investigations dashboard in Sumo Logic, where we've automatically correlated Alert Center data with all of G Suite activity. And we have these 2 panels that shows all G Suite activities by compromised users. Similarly, you also want to look into all the logins by compromised users to determine how active they are and where they're coming from. Okay? This kind of ability where we focus our panels on all activities and logins by compromised users, we also have panels for compromised devices, we've seen helps analysts, security analysts, and security teams cut down the amount of time required to investigate an alert or incident. So we've talked about correlating Alert Center data with G Suite activity, but what about your other business applications? Right? So here we are seeing an example on the right where we are doing a search in Sumo Logic across all of Salesforce.com event data to get a list of all the reports downloaded by a compromised user that was detected by Alert Center. So having this capability of investigating data across various applications is something that is super valuable for our customers, and that's why they use us for their security use cases. So I also wanted to point out that you can easily create your own dashboards in Sumo Logic by combining dashboard panels from various apps or even creating some of your own. So by doing this, you can create a dashboard that's very specific to your company or organization, and you get a quick overview of all the security aspects, whether it's endpoints, network, identity management systems, cloud platforms, or even on-premise data sources. So now that we've looked into how to monitor, detect, and investigate security alerts, let's talk about how to automatically remediate these when they happen again. So this is a document from the G Suite help that talks about how to identify and secure compromised G Suite accounts. So this is like a 4-step process, and this is an example of a workflow. And creating and managing these workflows in a consistent manner is critical for maintaining your overall security posture. So what we at Sumo Logic do is help in automate the creation of these incident response workflows by sending data to a number of ticketing, notification, and response systems. We also see that this kind of workflow creation and sending critical data about what happened helps in reducing the time to investigate by providing context around an alert or incident. So for example, listing out all the activities that happened by a particular compromised user. Finally, creating these workflows is also something that we've seen that helps prevent alert fatigue by sending data to the right teams that have specific areas of responsibility, as opposed to sending all alerts to the entire security team. So just to summarize our experience as a partner, we've seen how G Suite and Alert Center have given us critical data to further enable our customers to monitor, detect, investigate, and respond to security alerts and threats. With that, I'd like to call Darshan back on stage to summarize our talk.
Thank you, Rishi. I really appreciate the great overview of how Google and Sumo Logic can work together to provide integrated solutions that fit well into your existing infrastructure. To summarize what we covered today, the first one was what Chad had been talking about some of the pain points that many of you face. Too much data, lack of insights, lack of control, as well as complexity with existing solutions. So we covered 3 ways. One is through hijacking protection with security keys. Another one is device management, as well as phishing protection. As well, we covered 3 of the new betas that we're launching this week. First one was Alert Center that now provides built-in collaboration to help you prioritize your alert management. The second one was DLP to provide you capabilities to prevent sensitive data transfer. And the third was activity rules that now helps you automate repetitive tasks as well as apply automatic actions and alerts. Also, we want to thank Sumo Logic for being here to talk about how we're collaborating with our partner ecosystem to build solutions that integrate within your existing infrastructure. With that, I'd like to thank all of you for attending today. At the bottom, there is a blog that we just published this morning that has the link to all of the beta sign-up forms for the 3 that we talked about today. And we're going to stay around afterwards to answer any questions. We'll be up front and then in the hallway afterwards. Thank you.